مجمع الأندلس التعليمي، تعلم عصري ملهم بهوية وطنية وقيم إسلامية.
Hello everyone, especially dear students of grade 10. Wish you are all good. And here I am, Mr. Ayman El-Warfali, and here is a new lesson, a new module, a new unit entitled Endurance or Endurance. A new lesson, a new reading and vocabulary lesson. And let's first define our objectives. During this lesson, we aim to guess from the headlines what an article is about. We want also to complete the table with information from newspaper clippings through skimming. The third objective is to correctly decide which newspaper clippings refer to 8 given statements. The fourth is to match 9 highlighted words in the texts with their equivalent meanings. And the last task, a vocabulary task, is to complete 9 sentences with the correct form of the words in the boxes. And why not to learn about the rule of 3? So first, open your student's book, page 20 and 21. Here we are, and here is the rule of 3. Anyone to read it and to explain it, but quickly please. Yes? In extreme conditions, you cannot survive for more than 3 minutes without oxygen, 3 hours without shelter, in extreme conditions, in extreme heat or cold. You cannot also survive for more than 3 days without water. And you cannot stay alive for more than 3 weeks without eating any food. Excellent. And to our texts. And your texts are A, B, C in page 20. Do you know, or can you tell me what are these, or where you can find them? Yes? Excellent. You can find them in a newspaper or in a magazine. So these are articles. What about these statements or phrases or sentences in bold, in a clear font, in a clear writing, in a clear format? These are titles. We call them headlines. This is the headline of this article. So, can you guess what the articles tell about? Pause the video and think of it. Waiting for your answers. Yes, Ahmed? It's about survival and accidents. Yes? About bad surprises? We will discover if your answers are correct when we skim the articles. I think Hamad is asking a question. Yes? You don't know what does scheme mean? I think you didn't watch the first video. To skim means to quickly read the text without paying attention to each detail and each word. You can even skip some lines. You only need to know what is the text or the article about. So, as you skim the text, try to complete this table. We want to know who are the articles about. We want to know where the events happened, and we want to know how long did it take. Ready? Are you back? So, who is the major character in Article A? Yes? Have you completed all the tasks and answered all the questions? Okay, let's verify your answers. 3, 2, 1, and here are the correct answers. Text A is about or speaks about Amos Richards, and the events took place in Utah Desert, and our hero suffered for 4 days. The second article B speaks about yes, Peter Skillberg, and the events took place in Omeo, and this protagonist survived for 2 months. Excellent. The last article is about or speaks about Rizal Shaputra, and the Indian Ocean is the place of his story, and it took over a week. Great. All your answers are correct so far. We finished with task C, and now to D. Anyone to read the instructions? Yes, please. Read the newspaper clippings again and the statements below. Which clipping do they refer to? Write respectively A, B, or C. So first, even before reading the articles, you need to carefully read each of these statements. Anyone to do it? Yes, the door is yours. 1. He had supplies with him. 2. He survived a natural disaster, or yes, a natural disaster. Number 3, he was discovered by accident. Number 4, he had appropriate clothes with him. The next one, in the beginning, he wasn't alone. And number 6, he was injured. Number 7, he was fortunate enough to find food. And the last one, he tried to signal for help, but it didn't work. Great. I think you'll better your reading if you practice it. And you can pause the video now to find the answers. So in which text we find information about a person who had supplies with him? Yes? Amos Richards? Great, but in which text? In A? I think you're true, and you're true. The person who survived a natural disaster is Peter. In which text? B? Are you sure? Yes, Muhammad. It's Shaputra. In which text? C? I think you are correct. Yes, Muhammad. The answer is C. Now, we want to know who was discovered by accident. Yes? Peter? What about Shaputra? Both of them were discovered by accident. And who is the person that had appropriate clothes with him? Yes? Amos? Are you sure? Who has a different answer? Yes, Ali? Shaputra? And you? Peter? So please concentrate, read again the texts, each of you, and give me a unique answer. I'm waiting. Yes. You all revised your answers? Except. So, what is the answer? Yes. It's Peter. What about number 5? Shaputra in C. Good. And who is the person who was injured? Amos? Any other answer? No? You all agree? Great. In fact, it is Amos in text A. What about statement 7? Both 7 and 8 are about the same person. Are you sure? Let's read the statements first. So we are speaking about someone who was fortunate enough to find food and who tried to signal for help, but it didn't work. Let's verify. Is it true? Yes, it is. Great. And here we finish it with D. And to the next task, which is E. Someone to read the instruction? The door is yours. Imagine you are Ritzel and retell the story. Start with when the tsunami struck I. Great. Imagine, as the instruction and the question suggests, you are Ritzel and you were alone when the tsunami occurred. Pause the video and think of your own scenario. 3, 2, 1. Who will answer? Ready, Jasem? Do it. When the tsunami struck, I was actually walking on a building on the northern tip of Sumatra. I was swept out to sea alone with several others, but one by one they drowned. I survived by eating floating coconuts and drinking rainwater. At least one ship passed by, but none noticed me, although I was waving frantically. Eventually, a Japanese ship spotted me and took me to Port Klang in Malaysia. Here is my story. Excellent, Jason. Great. You have a great imagination. You are a superhero. You can even replace me. Choose any one of your colleagues to read the instruction of task F. You want Radi to do it? So, Radi, you have to do it. Just before that, I want to tell you that you will need both books, the student's book and the workbook. The student's on page 20 and the workbook on page 23. The door is yours, Radi. Represent the development of events of the story in text A in the form of a story map. See workbook page 23. Thank you, brave man. As your mate told you, we want to represent the development of events of the story in text A, the one about Amos Richards, but in the form of a story map. So we need to complete with information from the article about the settings, where and when did the story happen. We want to know about the major characters or character, the hero, the protagonist. We want also to find the main parts, the rising action, the climax, and the falling action, to end by the end with the conclusion or the ending of the story. Ready? Pause the video. Have a look on your workbook on page 23. Just to remind you, we will focus only with the first article, A. If you are ready, let's start with the introduction and the settings. Yes? So where did the story happen? In Ota Desert, in Canyonlands National Park. You can find these information in this section and this part and the third part in the same text. Who is the major character? Amos Richards. Great. To the next part, to the main part, where we have the major events of the story, namely the rise in action, the climax, and the fallen action. Yes, Abdurrahman. You have a question? Yes, please. You don't know what is rising action, what is climax, what is fallen action? Okay, excellent. In a story, Abdurrahman, we have, of course, many events. When we talk about the climax, we are talking about the most important event. Generally, it's a serious problem. So, the sum of events and actions that led to the climax, which started from the beginning of the story, is the reason action. And when we reach this climax, generally, as I said, a serious problem, a disaster, a catastrophe, a serious and delicate situation, the characters may find a solution, and here the actions and events go back to the initial state or to a better situation. And here we are talking about the fallen action. Pay attention that all these sections all are found in the main part, what you call in Arabic al-jawhar. And here are the answers. So the rising action, you can find it, of course, in the article. While he was climbing, he fell and broke his leg in several places, with no one around to help him and no one knowing his location. He was forced to drag his body through the desert. He had no warm clothes for the cold nights nor a map, and only 10 pints of water and 2 power bars. The climax was when Richards tried to follow his footprints back to his car and managed to cover 5 miles before he was found. The fallen action or the solution. Fortunately, the National Park Rangers realized he was missing on 9 September when they discovered his abandoned camp. Search parties were sent out, and 2 days later his car was discovered. Richards was spotted a few hours later by a helicopter, a couple of miles from the car. Richards used the flash on his camera to get the pilot's attention. That's the main part. And after the main part comes the conclusion. And can you tell me what do we have in the conclusion? Yes, the conclusion gives an idea about the end of action, generally full of feelings either of happiness or sadness sometimes, and we can have a moral at the end, the lesson learned. So in this case, what you have in the text is that Richards was taken to Moab Regional Hospital, where he was expected to recover very soon. You can add your own version of lesson learned. Since that day, he decided to never be alone in any isolated place. Here we finished with task E and remain only 2 vocabulary tasks. A first task G with the list of words from 1 to 8 to 9, and you can find them highlighted in the text. Yes, you cannot find them. Open your book on page 20. Here are the highlighted words, the one in yellow. You have actually 9 highlighted terms, all gathered here. crawling, rangers, recover, stand, passers-by, abandoned, struck, drowned, and spotted. Do you know their meanings? Nope. How can you find their meanings? What shall we do if we find words that we need and we don't know their meanings? Yes, Ahmed? You can use a dictionary. Great. And here is a dictionary, an online dictionary, the free dictionary. You can just type the word you want and you get the definition with the pronunciation if you don't know how to pronounce it.
Crawl,
With many possible definitions, even with some pictures that can help you to understand the word, and you can even resort to the thesaurus, and this may help you to get synonyms and equivalent words for the same term. Yes, Ali? You don't use dictionary, but you resort to translation? Yes, of course, it's possible to resort to any translating machine or apps, among which Google Translate. And here is a list of the Arabic equivalents of the words you need. Yes, Jassim, you want to add something? Yes, it's a smart way to find the meanings of words. You use Google and images. Excellent. This is an example of what you are doing, Jason. So you just write the word you need to know and you will get pictures that may help you to understand what the word is about. So you can now pause the video and try to search the meanings of these words, but by the end you are asked to match them with their meanings. 9 meanings in your student's book, page 21, from A to I, which are: to die from being underwater and unable to breathe, people who are walking past somebody or something by chance, a person whose job is to look after a park or a forest, D, to happen suddenly and cause harm and damage, E, extremely surprised or shocked, F, to notice somebody or something especially when it is not easy to do so, G, left by the people who owned or used it, H, to move on hands and knees, and the last meaning or phrase is to get better after an illness, an accident, a shock, and the like. Ready? Note your answers down and at the end compare them to these. Great. That was the last task related to the reading text, and now to the vocabulary section. Someone please to read the instructions. Complete the sentences with the correct form of the words in the boxes. In some cases, there may be more than one answer. I'm sure you all know these words, but if anyone doesn't, you can just repeat what we did with the 9 words in task G. You can think to use a dictionary.
harm,
The pronunciation, the meaning, and some possible pictures. Or a translation machine with the Arabic equivalent with a possible pronunciation.
ruin,
And you can think to use Google Images, which may give you some pictures that represent some verbs or nouns like pull, carry, and drag. I hope you got the meanings of all the words, and I think you noticed that each set of words share practically the same general meaning, like harm, hurt, injure, damage, destroy, ruin, carry, pull, and drag. Each set of these share practically the same general meaning. Pause the video, do your research, and complete the gaps with the correct form of the words in the boxes. And don't forget, sometimes you may have more than one correct answer. Waiting for your answers. The first set of words, 3 sentences. Someone to do it? I was skiing all day and now my knees hurt. Excellent. Pollution can harm our health, and only 2 people were seriously injured. Great. To the next set of words, which are damage, destroy, and ruin. The fourth one, please. The bad weather ruined our plans to go on a picnic in the countryside. The next, several buildings were completely destroyed by the fire. And the last one, don't put that hot pot on the table, you'll damage or ruin. And to the last set of words, which are carry, pull, and drag. We couldn't lift the bookcase, so we pulled or dragged it to the other side of the room. A complete stranger helped me the shopping bags to my car. Carry, excellent. And to the last example, the scuba diver pulled the rope to show that he wanted to go back up to the surface. And here we are at the end of our lesson. Thank you for your great attention. Thank you for your efforts, and see you so soon.
مجمع الأندلس التعليمي، تعلم عصري ملهم بهوية وطنية وقيم إسلامية.